Picture this. The year is 1995. The world is on the cusp of a technological revolution, and the winds of change are blowing everywhere you look. Time magazine has named the computer as its Man of the Year, and the DVD, a new format for storing and viewing movies and other media, is launched. In the world of entertainment, Pixar's first fully computer-animated movie, Toy Story, is released, forever changing the landscape of animated films. The sitcom Friends is in its prime, and the grunge music scene, led by bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam, is dominating the airwaves. The most transformative event of the year is the explosion of the internet. The boom is in full, with companies like Amazon and eBay taking their first steps into the online world. The internet is becoming a household name, and with it comes the promise of a connected world like never before. In fashion, flannel shirts and Doc Martens are the order of the day. The Rachel haircut, inspired by Jennifer Aniston's character on Friends, is all the rage. The Macarena dance craze is just beginning to sweep the globe, and people everywhere are trying to get the moves right. In sports, Cal Jr. breaks Lou Gehrig's record for the most consecutive games played in baseball. Amidst this whirlwind year of change and innovation, meet our protagonist, Tim. A man of the times, he's about to embark on a journey that will take him far from the world of DVDs, internet, and grunge music, and into an era where life was seemingly simpler, yet filled with its own set of challenges and charms. Tim, a product of his time, is about to find himself in a time not his own. Imagine waking up one day to discover that your world has been turned upside down, and you've been thrust back in time. That's precisely what happened to our friend Tim. One moment, he was living in the digital age of 1995, and the next, he found himself smack dab in the middle of 1950. As you can imagine, the shock was nothing short of profound. The hum of technology that had become a constant in Tim's life was replaced by an eerie silence. The computers, smartphones, and internet that were a staple in 1995 were nowhere to be found. Instead, he was surrounded by rotary dial telephones, black and white televisions, and radios. The fashion too had taken a drastic turn, with men donning suits and fedoras, and women in full skirts and petticoats. What struck Tim the most, however, was the stark difference in societal norms. The fast-paced hustle and bustle of the 90s had given way to a slower, more relaxed lifestyle. People seemed to take their time, to savor moments rather than rush through them. It was a shift that both fascinated and unnerved him. Slowly, Tim began to adapt. He learned to appreciate the simplicity, the lack of digital distraction. He marveled at the sense of community, the way people interacted with each other face to face rather than through a screen. He found himself enjoying the slower pace, the focus on the here and now. But adapting didn't come without its struggles. He missed the convenience of modern technology, the ability to connect with anyone, anywhere, at any time. He grappled with the less progressive attitudes of the time, the rigid gender roles, and the lack of diversity and inclusion. As Tim navigates this unfamiliar era, he starts to question the nature of progress and the value of simplicity. His journey through time is far from over, and there's much more for him to discover and understand. But one thing is certain: Tim's unexpected journey has forever changed his perspective on life. In the 1950s, Tim discovers a world far removed from his own. The decade brims with contrast, a mix of post-war tension and burgeoning progress. Through Tim's eyes, we witness the palpable impact of the Korean War. He observes the strength of people, their determination and resilience in the face of adversity. It's a stark departure from his time, the 90s, where wars were fought more often on economic fronts than on battlefields. This era also heralds the birth of plastic money. Tim marvels at the introduction of the first credit card, an invention that would revolutionize personal finance. He sees the skepticism in people's eyes, their hesitance to abandon the security of tangible cash for a piece of plastic. Yet he also sees the spark of curiosity, the intrigue at this novelty, a glimpse into the future where digital transactions become the norm. But it's not all war and finance. The 1950s are vibrant, pulsating with the rhythm of rock and roll. Tim finds himself swaying to the beats of Elvis Presley and Chuck Berry, their tunes resounding through jukeboxes in diners across the country. He sees the joy these new sounds bring, the way they unite people, transcending social barriers and generational gaps. Throughout his journey, Tim is struck by the optimism of the people. Despite the challenges, there's a sense of hope, a belief in a brighter future. This is a time of rebuilding, of redefining norms, of dreaming and daring. The people of the 50s are not merely survivors, they are pioneers, shaping the world for decades to come. Yet, amid the excitement and turmoil, there's a simplicity that captivates Tim. Life is slower, relationships are deeper, conversations are richer. It's a charm that's hard to resist, a charm that draws him further into the heart of the 1950s. Despite the challenges of this bygone era, Tim finds himself drawn to the charm and simplicity of the 1950s. Yet as Tim immerses himself in the past, he begins to long for the comforts of his own time. It's a peculiar thing, this nostalgia for the future. Our man Tim, a child of the 90s, finds himself yearning for the familiarity of his own era. The neon lights, the digital revolution, the grunge music, and yes, even the peculiar fashion trends. In the heart of the 50s, he is a man out of time. The charm of the past is undeniable, but it's not his past. As Tim navigates through the black and white world, he realizes that the vibrant colors of his time, the ones he took for granted, are what truly make up the fabric of his identity. Tim's journey through time, while extraordinary, has been a reminder of the significance of his own era. The 90s, with its technological advancements and cultural shifts, has shaped him in ways he never fully appreciated. He misses the internet, the convenience of cell phones, the freedom of expression that his generation enjoyed. But it's not just the tangible aspects of his era that he misses. It's the intangible too. The spirit of his time, the sense of possibility, and the relentless pace of change. The 90s were a time of hope, a time when the future seemed limitless. And it's this hope, this sense of forward momentum, that he finds lacking in the 50s. The decision to return isn't easy. The 50s have their charm, their simplicity, but the pull of his own time, his own life, is too strong. He yearns to return, to apply the lessons of the past to his life in the 90s, to appreciate his era for what it is, a time of change and progress, a time that has shaped him into the man he is. With a newfound appreciation for his own time, Tim sets off on a journey back to 1995. The black and white world of the 50s fades into the background, replaced by the vibrant colors of his own time. A time he once took for granted, but now understands its true value. A time he is eager to return to live and to cherish. Returning to 1995, Tim finds himself seeing his own time through a new lens. The future, once a familiar landscape, now feels strangely alien, yet thrillingly progressive. The digital clocks, the internet, the pace of life, all seem just a tad bit overwhelming after his sojourn in the 1950s. But there's also a newfound appreciation for these advancements, for the convenience and opportunities they bring. Tim finds himself grappling with a peculiar type of culture shock, one that comes with time travel. The world around him has moved at a breakneck speed, while he has been living in an era of jukeboxes and drive-in theaters. It's the same world, yet everything's changed. Yet, the charm of the 1950s has left an indelible mark on his heart. The values of community, simplicity, and slower-paced life resonate deeply within him. He sees the importance of human connection, of face-to-face conversations, of quality over quantity, values that were so integral to the 1950s, but seem to be fading away in his own time. And so, Tim starts to incorporate these values into his modern life. He makes time for his neighbors, for long dinners with family, for walks in the park without the constant buzz of his smartphone. He chooses to write letters instead of emails, to read books instead of scrolling through social media feeds. He cherishes these pockets of simplicity amidst the chaos of his time. But it's not just about adopting the old ways. It's about blending the best of both worlds, to create a life that's enriched by the advancements of the future and grounded in the values of the past. A life that's not confined by the boundaries of time but shaped by the experiences that transcend it. As Tim steps back into his own time, he carries with him a piece of the past, forever changed by his journey through time.